and across all our social media platforms. Hashtag UBCJMU.
Hope you'll be setting your alarms, cause we are
looking forward to seeing you then.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
The program lineup on UBC. Brought to you by Roofings, Strength of a Nation. You by introducing the all-new Roofings TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend services. Roofings, Strength of a Nation.
Well, good morning once again. Today is Tuesday, the 14th day of December. Also, another day that the Lord has given unto us to be happy, to rejoice, and of course be glad in it. Now with me today is of course the team. Good morning, Uganda. Definitely we'll be giving you our normal drills, taking you through a couple of sections, and of course sharing with you what's happening where you actually not. I hope you guys had a good morning. We definitely had a good one, and that's why we're here to do Kickstart your day. Now remember, Good Morning Uganda comes to you Monday to Friday. That is 6:30 to at least 9, and of course thereafter we have Good Morning Uganda Extra. Now with me today in studio is of course the big man himself, Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. Clearly he is in a Christmas mood as it is. Robert, good morning.
a lovely morning to you, Felix Nkunda, and of course our darling viewers. Good morning to you. Well, it's festive season, but equally there is so much that is happening on that is the political arena. The people of Kayunga are all excited because Thursday they will be going to the polls to elect their chairman LC5, and it's a very heated place to be, where I expect also His Excellency this morning. So there is so much. It wasn't over. When they thought it was over, they lost then the person who was occupying that seat, and now they are back to the polls come tomorrow, Thursday.
Absolutely, much is happening, as Robert did say, on the political scene. Of course, quite vast activities. Even when you cross over to Nairobi, Kenya, the heat is getting, I don't know, hotter or heated or what. But anyway, on the other side, I have a very beautiful lady, also donned in a very beautiful color, which she will probably tell us later. But allow me to say good morning, Molen.
Yes, a very good morning to you and Robert, and also I want to extend a good morning to you, lovely viewers here for Good Morning Uganda. Well, I chose to do brown today. I feel like brown is just a dull color, but at the same time just speaks a lot. But speaking of that, I am telling you, people are already in Christmas mood. And yesterday I was on Masaka Road. I'm telling you, there is already traffic, there is jam. People are already traveling to you know, up country to celebrate with families. So I was like, yes, this is the Christmas mood that people are looking forward to. And you know, to see that right now, I'm like, okay, am I staying in town or am I going to the village? I don't know. Felix, are you staying around?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll be in the heart of this beautiful country. Clearly, you see, village things will be sorted, but we'll have a moment to go in the village. I think it doesn't take, you don't have to be there like for, you just have to probably touch base, check out a couple of things, and come back to town. Yeah, you know, weekend will do. But anyway, apart from that, how are your preparations for Christmas, Molen?
So far, I think...
Have you bought a Christmas tree already?
Not yet, not yet. It seems like that will have to come with gifts. And so, I mean, there is no need for you to have a Christmas tree if you're not going to decorate and have gifts there.
Then
so,
clearly you don't know what Christmas is. There's no need to have a Christmas tree. What's Christmas without a Christmas tree?
What is a Christmas tree without gifts? So it's just 3 things. So you must have all. Okay, Christmas is there; it's a given. So you choose to have a Christmas tree. That means you should also choose to have gifts. Because now, what are you going to wrap down the tree, or what are you going to look forward to on Boxing Day? The whole idea of a Christmas tree is to have gifts there.
No, I don't believe that.
I am telling you.
Christmas trees are Christmas trees. I mean, they light up the house. They have these nice lights.
I think it depends on the culture. Felix, it depends on the culture. There are many families that I know, they have the Christmas tree. There are balloons with the lights fully decorated. Then a few cards from friends that have come in. And they don't have the boxes that are to be unwrapped on Boxing Day. But then there are families I know that Christmas, like where I grew up from, that kids are very excited that every Christmas, apart from the birth of Jesus Christ, there is something under the Christmas tree.
Exactly.
So
you're waiting for that moment.
That's what I'm talking
to
about.
unwrap the gifts that are there. But it's two-sided. There are families that have
Some
never
of
had
us
that
who
issue.
grew up in extended families, there are no those, because how many people would you give boxes? The families.
Well, at least
And they would have
you put
cotton
one.
form
At least
of-
you put one box full of, like kids. Maybe they have
Sweets,
sweets.
yes.
Yeah.
So you open
so that
and-
they open and they're like, yeah, they are
The biggest
sweets.
gift is lunch with chicken.
No.
There's nothing better.
Then soda.
I mean, that's the thing. They give you a full bottle alone, then Coca-Cola goes through your nose, and then you cough, and you know. But anyway, also something quite interesting about this season is that you notice that there's a bit of people like refreshing in terms of their spirituality. The birth of Jesus, I don't know, I probably also want to ask you, do you think this in its own self resonates with the season? Like, do you see people change in ways of life? Does it, or it is a routine? Maybe I'll start with Robert.
I think if I'm to compare 2 days of the Christian calendar, that is Easter and Christmas. Most of the times Easter brings out the meaning because there are some days of fasting, the Lent period, people renewing their faith as they prepare for Easter. But when it comes to Christmas, over and over, the meaning seems to be diminishing from the hearts of people. To many people, Christmas means new clothes, drinking a lot, having the food, having the lunch, and there is not so much that they think about or factor in that Christ is born unto us on this day. So most of the times it is, if you ask people, I'm looking for money for Christmas, Christ's birth has no connection. Yes, we jubilate when a child is born, world over. But it has no connection with relevance of eating, feasting, drinking. You find people on Christmas Day, I'm not a prophet of doom, that maybe will wake up and they don't know where they slept. Either they have been raped, either they have, or they have been robbed of their belongings. You find people on Christmas that are going to fight.
Relevance of celebrations.
For me, I accept there is celebration,
what Robert
but
is
when
saying is true?
Felix, when the celebration surpasses the meaning,
At what
then
point
that
does it
is where we
surpass?
get it wrong. If you ask many people on the streets, do a rough survey, ask them, what does Christmas mean to you? Very few will tell you that to me they'll have that spiritual factor of it.
But
many of them will have the, I don't think I'm going to enjoy Christmas. I don't Christmas. Christ in COVID, without COVID, when you have, when you don't have, he was born. For your sins.
But I guess
that's not about the money or the feasting that makes it worth a while.
I guess maybe because it also comes at a time when it's end of year, because it's December and these are the last days of December. So it moves from only a perspective of it being Christmas to being the last days of the year. So to some people, actually, the frustration started a long time ago. So they're looking at themselves at the peak. This is just a few days left to end the year, and have not achieved certain things. So those are the kind of people who are not even excited about Christmas. They're not excited about what they have achieved within the year. And also the fact that it still comes in that same line, it's end of year. So some people have done a lot, and they have reason to celebrate. So they take Christmas time to also, jubilate and celebrate about those little wins and a lot of what they have done. So it is birth of Christ, and as Christians we celebrate it, but at the same time it encompasses that whole being end of year. And also, like Felix was saying, people tend to change and have different behavior. I think in a positive way, it's when people reflect on what has been going on and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to turn the leaf. I'm ready to start a new thing or go this direction. So that brings in the change. So the people who, become criminal and do all these funny things like Robert was talking about are just people who have been frustrated the whole year, and they're taking that time to just, reflect when they see other people celebrating and other people, excited about the period.
Well, clearly, where I grew up, I appreciated, like, it made me appreciate the power of Christmas, because we celebrate, and for us in the Catholic faith, there's a way it comes out well, that we celebrate the things we don't see, yet we believe that they actually happen. I remember our grandfather, the late now, used to tell us, "Ani mulongose emiryango musawo olujja musale ebimuli olunaku lwa Noel." Now, that's the power of celebration. Like you acknowledge it's symbolic. These things they do, people buying new clothes, it is symbolic of how much it's a way of celebrating Jesus. So even if, you know, even if they do it knowingly or unknowingly, they actually celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Someone will say, "I have to buy meat." It is part of a celebration. I have to buy this, you know. And for us, of course, it was an opportunity to get some new clothes. Even those combine.
And then you can't sleep the Christmas day. You can't wait for the morning. You just spend the whole night thinking about this new dress they have bought for you.
I have a young brother. He's called Ken. So he was a bit young, and this time he was born on Christmas. So it's his birthday. So he surprises us. He wakes up in the morning and says, "Christmas is like any other day." Asked him why. People are cooking. Said, "I thought this time I was going to see." He expects something different. The weather had changed, because the young man thought on Christmas really there is something, either darkness comes so early or it takes longer. So they know it's just like any other day, but the difference is that
clearly
Christ
Ken
was
didn't
born
do his
on
Bible
this
study very well. Christmas is not like any other day. It's the day when the child of God was born, Jesus Christ, the Savior of all mankind, and that's a big thing. That can't be absolutely. So Robert, you need to do more Bible study for Ndogo Ken there. But anyway, of course, we do give you more and more of the updates. Of course, we'll try to be looking into what's happening in the markets. Are the food prices high? Are the transport fares going down or high? Like, I mean, what to do, what not to do in terms of security tips, your neighborhood watch, all these things we hope will be giving you more information as we draw closer to Christmas celebrations. But what else is important as we draw closer to the Christmas celebration is the issue of COVID-19. Most recent, we have a new variant, and we want everyone in this country to go and get vaccinated. We believe and trust that Uganda has so far done its best, because we must have moved above the mark of 7 million, if I'm not mistaken. And absolutely we trust and believe that even by end of the year we would have probably hit another higher mark as the president, so we can be able to live up to what the president promised, that we will be having an opening of the economy come January 2022. Please go get vaccinated. Vaccines are in plenty. Lately in Uganda, we have almost all the vaccines on the market. We have the Johnson & Johnson's, we have the Pfizer, Moderna, and of course AstraZeneca, which came in much earlier. And of course, that again will be one of our poll questions. We'll be looking at something of the same kind. What will be trying to understand the issue to do with compulsory vaccination. We saw an incident somewhere in this country where people are being forced to enter that district. They must be vaccinated. But also, later on in our news, we will be discussing something much more related to that. Molen Kenyana will be giving us updates in terms of environment, nature, and weather. And of course, Robert will be coming in to have a classic interview as he crowns up the hour, to await Ruben, who will be giving us the sports updates. Thereafter, we shall have Jagenda Semakula Zikusoka with Good Morning Uganda Extra. But for now, let's take you through what's trending in the local stories. And
we'll begin on the political arena, the politics happening in Kayunga, where we saw the Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, pitch up in this area as the chief mobilizer for NRM to secure victory in this election, where the Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, is currently leading the NRM voter mobilization team for Kayunga LC5 by-election, commissioned the construction of a multi-billion health center 3 in Kayunga Town Council, Kayunga District. Over 1 billion shilling project will be manned by the UPDF's engineering brigade. The government of Uganda is planning to construct a multi-billion health center in Kayunga Town Council to improve service delivery and ease access to health services in the district. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, and the Chief Party Mobilizer, Rosemary Seninde, and Party candidate Andrew Muwonge combed areas of Bukamba and Nachesa. Nabanja alerted residents in these areas that cheap politics and corruption are the major blockages of their development. The Prime Minister and her team will join the party chairman, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Tuesday, which is today, to wrap up NRM's campaign trail in Kayonza and Busana sub-counties ahead of Thursday's polls.
As we look at the appearance of the Kabaka of Uganda now, the 29th Uganda Oluchiko has been opened by the Kabaka with an appeal to leaders to fight corruption that exists in our country. The Kabaka also advised the public to continue preventing the spread of HIV/AIDS to achieve the targets of kick AIDS out of Uganda by 2030. Aluchiko members and Buganda converged to Bulange, waiting for the Kabaka to open the 29th Buganda Luchiko. The Kabaka and Nabagarika arrived as the traditional drum known as Mujaguzo was sounded. He later proceeded to Luchiko Hall to officially open the 29th Luchiko. Now, the Katikiro of Buganda told Kabaka that despite COVID challenges, the Luchiko has achievements. Addressing the Luchiko, Kabaka ordered members to educate subjects on effects of corruption that hinders service delivery. The king also appealed to responsible people to find measures to reducing unemployment among youth. He also advised people to prevent the spread of HIV to enable Uganda achieve its target of kicking out AIDS by 2030.
From Bulange Mengo, we head back to Kayunga, where the by-elections are scheduled for Thursday. The Electoral Commission has denied NUP Party President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu notification that he gave to the Commission informing them of his plans to campaign in Kayunga District. Kayunga District Registrar Jennifer Chobutunji told UBC that the Commission received a request from NRM's Kaguta Museveni. Campaigns for Kayunga District LC5 by-elections are in final stages as voters prepare for Thursday, 16th December to cast their vote. Candidates invited the party leaders, local authorities as the Electoral Commission gave guidelines. NUP Party President Robert Kyagulanyi had planned to visit and campaign in Kayunga, but authorities are still not decided on his visit. The RDC and Electoral Commission in the district said Kyagulanyi's visit to the district would be accommodated yesterday. All never. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission confirms voting preparation process is in advanced stages. The district returning officer, Kayunga District, Chobutunji, calls for peaceful elections. Kayunga District has 13 sub-counties and 71 parishes with 19,000 voters expected to cast their vote at 338 polling stations.
While more on the local scene, we look at Uganda National Students Association having asked government and Ministry of Health to reconsider the decision of suspending medical intern doctors. Now, this has been disclosed by the President UNSA Walunga Yusuf in a meeting aimed at mobilizing students and medical leaders that have finished the information technology course. Now, students under UNSA are urging government and Ministry of Health to reconsider the suspension of medical intern doctors. Now, the president of Uganda National Students Association says intern medical doctors are entitled to getting what the president directed. Also, the deputy spokesperson of the Forum for Democratic Change, John Chinyonga, wanted the Ministry of Finance to release funds that were promised following presidential directives. Also, in another development, a joint task force has been formed by UNSA to join the campaign of voluntary testing, surveillance, and school-based care to ensure schools reopen safe. And also, the task force is to sensitize child mothers and students that have lost hope in education to return to school for a better future.
Well, of course, now we will cross into our international stories, and first we'll be looking at the U.S. comes out to state that it will not punish troops for deadly Kabul drone attack. Now, the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has decided against the disciplinary any member of the United States military for an August drone attack in Kabul that killed 10 civilians, including 7 children. The New York Times and several U.S. news outlets reported this on Monday. Now, the internal Pentagon review concluded last month that the August 29 bombing in Afghanistan capital did not violate the laws of war and was not caused by misconduct or criminal negligence. Now, we are not giving up, a radio station for Afghanistan women said. However, the New York Times first reported on Austin decisions, citing an identified senior Pentagon official who said the defense secretary had approved a recommendation from the two U.S. military commanders not to discipline any personnel involved in this attack. Now in England, the Premier League reports at least 42 positive COVID-19 results in the past week. Now 42 Premier League players and staff tested positive for COVID-19 in the past week, the most recorded in the league over a 7-day period. Now in its highest number of 40 cases were reported in January. That week, at least 2,029 tests were carried out, and while 3,805 tests were done in the latest round from 6th to 12th December. Brighton, Tottenham, Leicester, Manchester, Aston Villa, Norwich have confirmed cases, with United's game at Bradford postponed. Now, Sunday's Brighton versus Tottenham fixture was also postponed following a COVID-19 outbreak at Spurs, and previously the most positive test returned in a week this season, that was 16 from the 16 and 22 August, when there was at least 3,060 tests. Now lastly, back to Africa, we're looking at Tunisian president announces constitutional referendum in 2022. Now Tunisia will come out to hold a constitutional referendum next July. President Kais Saied announced on Monday, months after he seized broad power in move to appoint to his opponent called a coup. Now in a speech on national television on Monday, he said that the Parliament of Tunisia would remain suspended until Tunisians vote for a replaced assembly in December 17, 2022. The referendum vote would take place on the July of 25th, a year after he suspended the parliament, seized near total executive authority in the country, often touted as the 2010 Arab Spring only success story. Now, we said we want to correct the path of the revolution and history, he said after lambasting critics of his intervention.
Real from tornado's wrath, as 74 are dead and 109 unaccounted for in Kentucky. Now, officials say that it could be days before the full extent of the damage from dozens of tornadoes that hit South and Midwest over the weekend is known, as recovery efforts continue in the wake of a historical storm. Kentucky, Tennessee, Kansas, Illinois, Missouri, and Mississippi were struck by dozens of tornadoes Friday night and Saturday morning in an unusual outbreak created in part of unseasonal warm temperatures. Now, the vast majority of the destruction landed in Kentucky, where one massive twister traveled from more than 200 miles, after giving differentiating estimates over the weekend on the number of casualties. Now, the Kentucky government official Andy Beshel said Monday afternoon that 74 people died, and also states that about 109 remain unaccounted for. Now, thousands of homes are damaged, if not entirely destroyed, and it may take weeks before we have a final count on both death and level of destruction, as Beshel said. Now, he cautioned residents that more deaths could be announced in the coming days as responders sort through the rubble.
Well, clearly, much, of course, the news is that is happening around the world in terms of politics, weather, and of course, most current affair, and of course, sports. We did look at what's happening in the Premier League. But what else do we need to know about life today? Robert?
Your health is your #1 priority. As you wake up every morning, make sure you're healthy. And we recommend you to take drinks that are going to boost your immune system, to have capacity for the body to fight a number of diseases. And this is Hallelujah Ginger Tea and Hallelujah Turmeric Drink by Hallelujah Reflexology. Every morning, get these drinks, because what is in here is hard for you to find and consume at the same time. And above all, these drinks were certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, so they're safe for you at only 1,500. And this as well would be one of the best Christmas gifts you can give to to your loved one a carton of Hallelujah products.
Of course, many of the gifts, and I get absolutely one that is about health would be the best for that. But of course, what else is important is for us to put you in Christmas mood, as we are already in the same mood for that matter. And of course, around this time, it's a time when people start to prepare their souls, their minds. I don't know about the bodies, but probably because the body is not but anyway, let's take a look at our poll question before we get into the body issue. And of course, we want you out there to make a comment to our poll question, as we do try to understand what more should be done to promote vaccination against COVID-19. We want you to share with us through our social medias, hashtag UPCGMU, that is on Twitter, on WhatsApp, 0709 60 25 92. Also, we told Facebook is up and running. Please, you can share your message on Facebook. But of course, those of you who are watching us live on YouTube, please also share with us through YouTube. But it's important for us to note whether we should be forcing people to get vaccinated or not. Should we stand somewhere, put a roadblock, you know? Tell us, share with us what's happening in your community. What is your community doing to enhance the vaccination drive so we can be able to do a well opening come next year, as the His Excellency promised. But on top of all that, let's take a break, have our song for the day. Definitely want to put you in your Christmas mood this morning. And when we come back, we'll be looking to our newsreel. Good morning.
Pick of the Day on UBC. Brought to you by
how to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Introducing Learn From Home Data Bundles. Customized bundles for you and your family to study or work seamlessly from the comfort of your home. Use any of these affordable data bundles to connect to your MiFis, routers, laptops, tablets, and smartphones while avoiding unwanted internet exposure and ensuring undivided attention during online classes. Enjoy instant access to Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and selected educational websites. Dial *175# to buy your Learn From Home bundle today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Terms and conditions apply.
It is exactly 2 minutes past the hour of 7. Thank you for being with us and welcome to our newsreel where we look at a story and give in-depth analysis and more information regarding that. This morning we want to look at compulsory or mandatory vaccination, picking it from the case that happened in Kasese. This where we saw police mount roadblocks, that is on Kasese Fort Potro Mbala Highway, to ensure everybody who was moving was vaccinated, presented proof. All would go and get either their first jab or second jab because there was a mobile immunization van that was moving around. But also this resulted into an influx of people, that's at Kasese Health Center 3, as they rushed to ensure that they get vaccinated, having been told that movement would require them to have these cards, but also access to public facilities would require one to present proof of vaccination. Ministry of Health received, so far, received about 30 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. We've been able to distribute about 16 million. And as we speak, in storage, we have 17 million waiting for the first bunch to be used. But we must recall Uganda as a country, we've got a number of vaccines through the COVAX facility because of our capacity to absorb the dosages that we are getting as a country. And right now, according to the ministry, there seems to be laxity in the way people are partaking of these vaccines. Is it maybe because we are told that come next year, the economy will fully reopen? Or is it absence of death, high death rates in the country? Felix earlier told us what's happening in the Premier League, where you have about 42 players testing positive of COVID-19. But to begin with, Felix, very interesting here is 2 weeks back, the Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Aceng, on the floor of Parliament, informed members of Parliament that her ministry is working on a proposal to bring a law that makes vaccination and wearing of masks mandatory. This is an issue of health. Right now we don't have a law, but when we see this being the direction we are taking, to begin with, what is your take on such a thing that maybe one would think, it is my right to get vaccinated. This is my body. This is my health. I either choose to get the jab or not.
Well, first and foremost, you must understand that why do we have a tensed up environment in relation to vaccination? Because there have been very many other diseases, or what you want to call seemingly threats to lives of Ugandans. But why in particular are we having this discussion to thus far? When COVID came to Uganda, there was so much panic. And if you remember, there was a time where the government openly said, we don't know where to get the vaccinations. Even if we wanted to buy,
we couldn't.
We don't have what to buy because there are other richer countries that probably have bought already or what. Now, between COVID, I think between 2019 up to today, it's unfortunate we don't have the particular numbers of people we have lost, but there are more than about, it's quite a number of people who have died.
We hit 3,000, about 3,200 something.
And that is those are the known. Those are the ones that are included in government statistics because probably they have died from hospitals, but do you know how many didn't make it to hospitals? Now, I want us to look at how much we have spent between 2019 up till today on this so-called pandemic.
We've had supplementary.
In terms of what we have gotten from our coffers, what we have borrowed. In terms of what we call, after having looked at what we have spent, I want you to also look at what we have lost between 2019 and today, in terms of socio-economics, in terms of work,
The RA didn't make its target, and that was self-explanatory.
So it's when you look at all these things, don't look at them in isolation of what we are discussing, the issue of vaccination. It's a bit tricky that when you discuss vaccination, people don't pick the gist of the discussion when we start to say we may get to a point where we want to compulsorily vaccinate people. Now, it will only make sense if you be able to look at that sort of trajectory. Look at how much we have lost in terms of lives, as I said earlier, in terms of growth, development, what should be done that hasn't been done.
Because of COVID-19.
Look at the people who have been out of schools. Look at
Jobs
all these
lost.
things. Look at jobs, look at communities, look at the stalemate. Look at how many things you would have done that you've actually. Now, for you to get it, you must take that angle or that school of thought. That you must apply true sense of comparison to understand the threat that faces us through this thing they call COVID-19. Once you're able to understand that, then you will know that, one, there's a bigger challenge ahead of us if we don't curtail this from growing. I want you to imagine if this so-called Omicron variant impedes the reopening next year.
That would be disaster. We are just complaining over child pregnancies during COVID-19. We are looking at teachers who've lost so much.
The child pregnancies are the
I'm just trying to
minor.
list a few. It could be minor, but in one way, each girl, many of them,
it
their
has an
future never
effect.
remains the same.
Absolutely.
We are missing would-be ministers, would-be accountants, who would be in every field because of this timing. But Felix rightly said, of course, there is so economic, social losses, even political. Because someone will tell you because of the way we did our politics, because of COVID-19, maybe it had an impact on some of the choices people made in one way or the other. So all aspects, all spheres of life have been affected by COVID-19. But let's also understand the issue of vaccination. Looking back in this country, I remember even if it was polio, we saw the king of Uganda, the Kabaka, had to come in. There's been a bit of, this is something new. Every time there's been either massive sensitization, people are not automatically recipient of what you put, of what is being injected into their bodies. And there comes an aspect of rights. I remember when the Deputy Speaker of Parliament said, for you to access the premises of Parliament, either you're an honorable member of Parliament, you're a worker, you must present proof of vaccination. Parliamentarians didn't welcome this. You know, many of them didn't.
Robert, there are things that we shouldn't like just throw away. When you talk about information and sensitization, you must get into the depth of the same and try to understand. One, when you throw information out there, doesn't mean that information is going to, there's actual communication. ideally, for example, vaccines are out there. And as I said earlier, we have probably about 4 types in the market.
Yeah, we have about 4, yes.
I think we have the
Johnson & Johnson.
Johnson & Johnson, the Moderna, AstraZeneca. Now, don't you think it would make better sense if also people know of that? You know, in as much as we are faced with the pandemic, people never lose their personalities. I remember even in Uganda, there's a joke which is a bit rude, but I won't use it. But even when someone is on deathbed, they'll tell you they have a right to make a choice. That's why when you go to law and you discuss issues of medical health, you look at things like euthanasia. So people don't lose their right to knowledge because of their vulnerability. When you talk about information, I think there's information there about COVID. It has been there. It has because there's no new information. It is so far the same since we started in terms of how you prevent it, how you can probably treat it, and it's been the same. But now, this is where I feel there's a gap. That we shifted from the phase of discussing COVID as a virus, and we should have started discussing the vaccination of COVID. Yet we are still in the
stage of
we are still talking
the
about
virus.
The information we have up till today
is more or less
about the virus
and the soaps and what it
only,
is.
which was given at inception. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Even if I wanted to talk about AstraZeneca, I can't. I don't know. If you want to talk about Moderna, if someone called now and asked me the difference on phone or on TV, I wouldn't, because
all you can say these are different brands, but
you know.
But
I think we should shift the gears or shift from the discussion about, because the information about the virus is honestly there. Yeah. It has been there. I've talked about it.
How it's transmitted.
Experts.
Definitely.
I've had people on social media, on radios, become experts in coronavirus, self-proclaimed experts. They will tell you, kaukakwata wekati, katambula wekati, kavuka wekati. I'm like, okay. You know all these things. They know all the ways. They know all the ways, the transmission, how to protect. But now, in as much as we acknowledge there was need for that, now we've gotten to a point where we must discuss vaccination. Because before we know, we are going to go in a discussion of boosters. The world is discussing booster jabs. For us, we are still discussing you know, and that's the problem. So there is no what we call shift of information, relevant shift of information. Because it has had series. There was a time we wanted to know about this so-called COVID. What is it? Is it a type of table? Is it a jerry can? We knew. We got to know the information. But we have not shifted to the right information of the campaign we are having, which is vaccination. No one is talking about the vaccinations.
All we are saying, Felix, I think we are just moving on the surface. Go get vaccinated, because when you're vaccinated, which is a fact, we shall fight severe illness, we shall fight hospitalization, we shall fight death. So a person knows that, yes, when I'm gonna get vaccinated, I'll have immunity over COVID-19. Much as when you're vaccinated, it's not a guarantee that you not contract COVID-19. Should you be exposed, still you'll contract COVID-19. But the difference is you won't go to the extreme end, severe illness, and then hospitalization, then death. But what Felix is really talking about is that is not just enough for a person. There are so many questions regarding the vaccines. To what extent have we gone to explain that, yes, you may get these reactions, but these are manageable. In case this happens, this is what you're supposed to do. These are the best places to go to. People will tell you, for me, I'm waiting for Johnson & Johnson. Government will tell you that is going to go to the islands, that is going to go to maybe areas like pastoral places, and a person in Kampala is seriously, me, I'm waiting for Johnson & Johnson. So all these are things that we must factor in. But Felix, you've mentioned the issue of rights. But however, we know that government has the sole mandate in terms of protecting lives and property. Here we are, we know that the massive expenditure we spend on COVID-19, actually even many people have died of a number of diseases, more than they have died of COVID-19. But because priority was given to COVID-19, talk about HIV/AIDS. 2020, we lost 22,000 people to HIV/AIDS in this country.
Yeah, sure.
According to, that is the report, that is, we lost 2,200, yes, that's the right figure, 2,200 people to COVID-19. Sorry, to HIV/AIDS. We may not have gotten to that extreme when it comes to that. But government now looks at it that despite the fact that maybe there could be communication gaps, there's also reluctancy. Take an example of Kasese. When people knew that, yes, you must have these jobs, you must have evidence to move. The health center 3 was crowded with people. They had come because they knew now movement. So were their questions answered? Did they now get enough sensitization? What had hindered them? Talk about SIM card registration. We still had the same thing, that laissez-faire, national IDs. Now, when teachers were told, we were still debating with teachers. When we had the no job, no job, we saw the influx of teachers going for this vaccination.
But you see, in as much as coercive approaches may work, they are not sustainable. And I can repeat that. In as much as coercive measures may work, they're not sustainable. One, you see, unless you can prove to the latter that because let's imagine this medicine has side effects between you and me, and you know for some people it has caused what, all this. What if one of the persons gets such a case? How do you deal with that? But secondly, there is evidence. Have you made a study into why people are not responding? A conclusive study. Have we understood why people are not actually complying? I think this is where we need to put some minds. We need to understand the vaccinations are there, the people to vaccinate are there. Why are people not coming? Is it because they can't, the places are not reachable?
That is one of the factors.
No, secondly, is it because they are busy or they are working?
It's another factor, because when we saw a mobile van,
I know of a country which gave public holidays for vaccination. People said we are busy, we are busy. We said, okay, these 2 days will be for national massive vaccination.
Working days.
And it worked. They said like Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, the country will not work. It's a public holiday. We shall all of us go. And the vaccination centers are there. We have put people there. And it worked. At least on those particular days, they registered over, I think, 2 million all around the country.
There's also a country that ensured most of the schools, they had vaccination centers there. You turn up for classes, get your vaccine. That was South Africa. And really, they registered a huge number.
I think which is the same thing the ministry did for universities. At least I'm certainly informed that almost all universities that opened have vaccination points. And for those that didn't have, at least you have a right to apply through your medical officers in that particular district where you file. But Robert, the issue of coercing people, again, could work in the short term, but cannot be sustained. And the reason is also simple, that even in terms of manpower, police has to keep law and order. Now they are calling you for stealing things when about COVID, given the kind of manpower we have as a country in terms of policing. But the big question is, can't we do this in other ways?
Felix, if you are to, I love that. You're looking at, can't we do this in other ways?
And I could suggest, I can suggest, one, Before you coerce people you have no control over, because people in a district, as a district leader or RDC or police, you don't have control over them, because at the end of the day, what is in for you? Yet there are institutions. Me, I told you